Ladies and gentlemen, you watch. I'm on my way to making the biggest political call of all time. Clinton is going to be opposite President Trump. Hillary Clinton is the only chance that Democrats have, and she'll still lose to Trump, but she'll lose in a more graceful manner than Biden, who would be the biggest train wreck. They would tarnish the Democratic Party, well, they already have, but it would be a generation before they could recover from actually losing the popular vote alongside Biden. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And it's not hyperbole. Luke, St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you so very much for being amazing moderators. If you want to support my work, ladies and gentlemen, through Super Chat, thank you so very much. It means a great deal to me. And also, my Patreon is below for people who want to support my work long term. Email me at contactgoodman78 if you want to be part of a newsletter. I'm on my way to making the biggest political call of all time. I don't care that it is completely meaningless and irrelevant. It is completely meaningless and irrelevant that they apparently they had Biden accept a Zoom meeting nomination. But here, Joe Biden's 2020 acceptance speech pulls smaller audience than Hillary Clinton's 2016 address. So President Trump's going to win re-election, and that's what I've been saying for 4 years. I will go 2 straight elections calling, and this is everybody in the mainstream, every major pundit, oh my God, Biden is up, they'll be wrong again. I'll be right again. Now, the biggest call of all time, one might think, well, he accepted the nomination. That's not really relevant. They don't really have a nomination process. The whole thing's a scam. Just ask Bernie Sanders. Actually, don't ask him. He won't tell you anything. He won't tell you that they cheated him in Iowa in 2020. Even worse than they cheated him in 2016. But here, Joe Biden was judged for small crowds during the primary, and it seems his numbers aren't improving as the Democratic Party's 2020 presidential nominee until they decide, you know what, the only chance we have is with Clinton. The only chance they have is with Hillary Clinton. They get absolutely obliterated with Biden. They might not even get the popular vote. They get absolutely obliterated. Trump would crush Biden in the debates, absolutely crush Biden. So I don't see that happening at all, and I will have made the biggest political call of all time. But here, before we get to the fact that he did worse, than Clinton did in terms of ratings, so around 10 million less people saw them, this DNC convention. President Trump almost has 1 million subs on YouTube, and that is actually saying a lot. Politicians don't really do, you can look at politicians and they're, renowned throughout the country, but they don't have big YouTube channels. They can't even break 100,000. President Trump's on his way to 1 million subs, and he doesn't really care about. Obviously, he spends zero time on it, but check it out. This is kind of hilarious. He has two in particular. One video you have to watch, and it's past versus present, August 17th, 2020. I'm not joking, ladies and gentlemen. Climb BMX! Let's get this party started. Climb BMX. Let's get this party started. Exactly. Anthony Perrone, hello. Climb BMX. Thank you very, very much. Let's get this party started. Exactly. Voice of reason. Couldn't stand the fake fawning over Biden's speech performance. CNN panel lost in it. Climax every show. Exactly. They're in bad shape. And they're going to have somebody, I don't know how it's going to happen. It could be just a meeting that Tom Perez says, hey, you know what? Biden does worse among Latino and black voters than Clinton did. Clinton is at least interesting enough to get millions of people to watch. Well, first of all, I mean, the second Clinton becomes the replacement for whatever reason, and of course, I'm not referring to any God forbid calamity. I'm talking about just the DNC has a meeting, says, gosh, we don't really have a nomination process anyway, and our voters would believe anything. They'd even believe that Facebook had swung the election in 2016, so they'll believe anything. They can simply say, look, we had a meeting, and we found out that Biden does worse among two core demographics within the Democratic Party. We need a change. We cannot roll with this man. It doesn't matter that he won the primary. The primary was irrelevant anyway. DNC lawyers stated in a court of law that they don't even need to have a primary. So voice of reason, thank you. Climb BMX, thank you as always. Voice of reason, thank you as always. So 20 million views. I swear to you, I'm telling you, like about 5 hours ago, I looked at it. It was at 19 million views. Okay? It's August 21st, people. In 4 days. In 4 days. You had 20 million views. In 4 days, 20 million views. And he rips Biden to shreds. Past versus present. Then there's the Bidening. The Bidening is one of the great ones too. So, NPC! They should have stuck with music videos. That was the best part, exactly. NPC, exactly. But you have 20 million views. For basically, they got more views. If you look at the viewership of the Democratic convention, only an estimated 24.6 million people saw the cycle's Democratic standard bearer on Thursday. Okay, so he is about, so 20 million people saw one ad from YouTube. A minute and 48 seconds of Biden just like completely and utterly not just making a fool of himself, but I mean, you can see the rapid decline of this man. And whether it's a shtick or whether it's real, their contempt of Trump is clouding their judgment. They have zero judgment. You're talking about, I know these people. You're talking about the most apoplectic, hysterical, fanatical ideologues. They have no sense, no grasp of basic logic. You cannot take somebody who's one fry short of a Happy Meal and just say he's better than Trump because Trump worked with Russia. But that's just one. So 24 million people viewed Biden's acceptance speech. 30 million people viewed Clinton's acceptance speech. So that's like, what, 6 million people more. But NPC, exactly. That music video is hilarious. But then you have not just 20 million for watch past versus present. Then you have 20 million people, or no, sorry. There's one where the Joe Biden, they're hiding from you. That is 18 million right there, and that was August 17th. So you have one YouTube segment in 4 days that got 20. This is unprecedented. You're not going to get in 4 days. You'll get music videos and you'll get songs and you'll get you get 18 million. But music videos are seen throughout the world. And they're seen by young people and it's music. Everyone loves music. So music is entertainment. So is Donald Trump. So is President Trump when he's talking about Biden. You have 40 million people who watched two YouTube segments. Now, then there's the Bidening. The Bidening is absolutely hilarious. But I have to go on. I want to go on Trump's channel. Where's the Bidening? Okay, so. Oh, okay. Then there's the Kamala Harris one. Oh, that was only 1,400,000, so that didn't do nearly as well. But still, that's pretty good. Okay. I mean, they can't get a break. The Democrats cannot get a break. But here, there's a couple. Let's see, 4 days ago. I'm trying to find. Okay, past versus present. Inspired by actual events, 6 million views. That deserves 20 million views. I mean, come on. Where he's like, yeah. I'm telling you, you don't want okay. You don't want a president. You don't need to admire a president's character. Because President Obama's character and good decency and morality. Because of President Obama's morality, we now have people being bought and sold in Libya. That is not hyperbole. It is his foreign policy. And I'm not saying this like some... deer in the headlights, starry-eyed, fanatical, left-leaning, pundit, looking like saying, this is his foreign policy. No, it's a decision, a specific decision to remove a leader from a country, and it's completely irrelevant whether the leader was good or bad. When you remove a leader from a country, which is what President Obama and Biden and Clinton did, you get, your decision leads to a country turning into a failed state. Libya was not a failed state before President Obama's intervention. NATO intervention caused a decade of civil conflict and unrest and mayhem and chaos and barbarism and brutality and tremendous loss of life. We went in to save people. Far more people lost their lives because of the foreign policy decision of the Lincoln Project people and President Obama's smart power people. This, ladies and gentlemen, is worse than any of President Trump's tweets. Jimmy from Philly! Search David Beckham. Furious Trumpist chases after... It's a comedy called Furious Trumpist chases after anti-Trumpists. Thank you, Jimmy from Philly. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy from Philly. You do not have... You are not, there is nothing that Trump has done, nothing that could even come close to the horrendous catastrophe of President Obama's decision in 2011. Nothing. On the flip side, to the contrary, President Trump has been the first president to step foot in North Korea. You could say, well, that didn't mean anything. Well, that didn't lead to 10 years of a horrendous military conflict. So, I mean, they cover up their mistakes. Media is an active participant in these events. They're not objective. They're an active. They're essentially. They can decide to focus on. They might cover. Actually, they don't. They barely cover what's taking place in Libya. But when they do, they certainly don't tie in President Obama's foreign policy. You better believe they would be saying that Trump is the reason for all the chaos and mayhem. If Trump led a failed NATO intervention, don't think that they would be blaming him? They're completely apoplectic. They think that our democracy is tied to whether or not Trump wins or loses, or whether they win or Trump loses. They're seething and fuming, and they're apoplectic, and they're going to lose again. And you watch, ladies and gentlemen, and especially today, because I've never wavered from my prediction. Tell everyone you know that H.A. Goodman is still saying that Hillary will eventually be on that debate stage and on the ballot. You do not get 20... The way YouTube works is the following. There's an algorithm, but things that go viral, there has to be some kind of organic support, okay? So, like, I've built up a small following, and I have, like, a tremendously amazing and loyal viewership. So I'm able to do well on the channel, but because of my viewership, whether they liked me when I was on the left, a progressive, or the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post, and thank God I became a Trump supporter. Thank God. You leave the left, it's like your happiness level is like your blood pressure decreases, your level of happiness increases, and you're able to actually accept and see things for what they are. I still have viewpoints like on immigration that are progressive or liberal. Second Amendment, I'm very, very conservative on. And then there is no Democratic or Republican viewpoint on Trump's foreign policy, which is why I love President Trump. He wants to bring home Americans. He wants to end American endless interventions. And that's why he signed a deal to get us out of our longest-running military conflict in March. The left does. The Democrats don't care. Media, they do not care. But you have to have. There has to be something. There have to be people throughout the world. So I'm very lucky. I have my viewers in Australia and UK and in Canada and Nepal and throughout the world who watch. And I have my viewers in the United States of America. And I have built a base of people who watch. And whether it's my annoying personality or the fact I called the 2016 election, and I will call not only this election, but Clinton becoming a nominee, which is going to happen. Because there's my point. You can't get 20 million, you can't buy 20 million views on YouTube. It doesn't work that way. Nene Fry, hello. Larry Whitaker! Call of Duty is red pilling gamers via Yuri Bezmenov. Big media is the enemy of the people. Larry Whitaker, thank you. Larry Whitaker, thank you. Thank you, Larry. Greatly appreciated, Larry. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was a very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, look at that Call of Duty. Look at that. That's interesting. Larry, thank you. Great interview, by the way, from years back. Mike Samra! Mike! Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike Samra. Thank you so very much for watching. Be here, Mike. November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We're going to have a party on this channel. And I won't just be doing 2 on this channel and then 1 on my H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll be doing a whole bunch on every single day on this channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll start a cooking channel, H.A. Goodman's gardening channel. But it's going to be amazing. Mike Samra, Larry, thank you. I'm going to look into that a little bit more. Larry Whitaker, thank you very, very much. Mike, thank you very, very much. Thank you, gentlemen. You don't get, my point is, watch Past versus Present, August 17th, 20,150,763. Okay? Now it's 20 million. I just refreshed it, and now it's 20,218,007 views. You can't. So this was just 10 minutes that I had this up, or 5 minutes. I don't know how long. You cannot, people. The way YouTube works is that you cannot. Like I'm doing okay, but I have a small channel, and my segments don't go viral, but they do all right. I've had segments that have gone 100,000, 200,000, but it's very rare from my channel. Very rare. I think when things heat up, you'll see like 100,000 view segments, 200,000 view segments, maybe more. But you can't do advertising, you can't buy 20 million views. So, and there's no way, and President Trump, obviously, the algorithms on all of social media are not tailored to Trump, okay, or Trump supporters. But you can't get 20 million views on YouTube in 4 days without tremendous buzz, tremendous energy, without millions upon millions enjoying, not just agreeing, because part of it is like when I do my voices, I do imitations. When I do my voices and I have my personality, whatever, it's unique and whatever, you have to be entertaining on YouTube because it's a platform where you have to entertain. Mike, thank you again. Mike. Jane de Belleville. Jane, thank you, Jane. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jane. Jane de Belleville, thank you. George Gamblin. Thank you, George, very, very, very much for your support and generosity. Thank you. They don't care about the presidency. They want the Senate and keep Congress so they can impeach him. Nobody's talking about this. They're keeping everyone looking right while corruption is going to be on the left. That's true. Now, I agree with you that they definitely want the Senate. I think they want the Senate, though, for the Supreme Court. Because they can't impeach. You would need 2/3 of the Senate to impeach Trump anyway. So, but George, you're right. You're right, George Gamblin. They want the Senate. They want to keep the House. But, I mean, I want them to, they can go ahead and impeach Trump 10 more times. It only makes him stronger. He's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of politics. John Mark. Demo nuts worship themselves. Pretty much. Climb BMX, thank you again. John Mark, thank you. Siddharth Chikmal. Siddharth Chikamal. The DNC will cease to be a national party this November. Pretty much. I mean, Siddharth, pretty much. They will cease to be a national party for at least a couple of years, possibly a generation. If they're so inept and incompetent, Siddharth, if they're so inept and incompetent to go with Botox B, the current nominee, who will be replaced by Hillary. Oh, hello. I will make the biggest political call of all time. And I never wavered, and I'm just getting stronger with this. I see it. I'm telling you, I smell something fishy, and it's not Joe Biden. I smell something spoiled and rotten, and it's not Joe Biden. I'm telling you, I smell something. What is that? Eucalyptus? Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, let me just touch you all over. Let me rub you up and down till you say stop. Let me do for your body, baby. Body. Why? What's the matter, man? Come on, man. You junkie. Vice President Biden, do you think maybe Trump took a cognitive test? Do you think you might want to take a cognitive test? Cognitive test? You a junkie? Do you taste snorting coke? You snorting coke? And vote for me. Good versus evil. Good versus evil. Good versus the soul of our nation. Why would anyone want their soul tied to Biden? Why would anyone want their soul? Have your soul tied to Joe Biden. Worshippers, your soul will be tied to Joe Biden and Kamala for the rest of eternity. Hallelujah. Why would you want that? Let me pray with you, baby. I don't see nothing wrong with rubbing Joe Biden's leg hair down. Trump should have me sing. R. Kelly should have spoken at the DNC debates. He really should have. Or the DNC convention. It would have been amazing. George Gamblin. I think they're looking at the Supreme Court, which if they don't get the Senate, who knows? I don't see them getting the Senate if they lose the election. I think they will. Voice of reason. Your constant pestering about the golden rule may have stopped her from joining the race. Your heroic. Voice of reason. Voice of reason. I just, it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. Time after time. Joe Biden after Joe Biden. The Joe Biden they are hiding with you, 18 million. Watch past versus present of Joe Biden, 20 million views. Don't let them ruin America, 20 million views. 12 million views in 4 days. This is not the Bidening inspired by actual events. See, that is bizarre that it's not 20 million. That's 6 million views in 4 days. Radical extreme left is 5.3 million views in 4 days. What I was trying to say is that Voice of Reason and George Gamblin, Simon Hathaway, Spurlock. Come on, man. Biden can't debate Trump. That's like Mike Tyson versus Pee Wee Herman. Madam Cyberhack is the only way to get it close enough to cheat. Exactly, Simon. They can't. They are not going with Biden in the debates. Otherwise, they get creamed and obliterated and crushed and decimated, and they lose voters for a generation. Because you're not going to rebound from a catastrophic loss with Biden. You can rebound with Clinton losing again because you could say, well, we tried, and you know what? This country is not worthy of us. That's what they'll say. But it's not possible on YouTube or any platform, but especially YouTube. Because Twitter, you can have like the biggest imbeciles on the planet getting 100,000 or 200,000 retweets or whatever. It really, you know, you don't really need to know what you're talking about to get retweeted. You know, that's why I don't have Twitter, because it's like Tron for disgruntled liberals. But you cannot get 20 million views in 4 days on numerous YouTube segments without serious grassroots support and a level of enjoyment. There's a level of enjoyment that comes from supporting President Trump. The more apoplectic they get, the more enjoyable it gets for us. The more they lie about Trump, at the end of the day, the more euphoric it'll be when we win. If this is a battle for the soul of the United States of America, then they better lose. They have to lose, or else we're pretty much on our way to a very, very bad scenario. Polls are tightening even in Oregon. I mean, what they did to Portland, it's like Oregon is one of the most left-leaning states. And even Oregon, people are like, gosh, you know, are we going to vote for Trump? I mean, you're looking at a huge sea change in American politics where people are actually asking the question, they're saying, I'm liberal, but my God almighty, Democrats are very frightening. John Mark! Good. Come on, it reminds me of John Mark, thank you. Creamy Bone, hello. I already do. Creamy Bone, hello. Old school dad man. HA, give us some contrast on how many views for pro-Biden videos, please. I mean, you're looking at the maximum, well, the average of like, let's look at Biden's his campaign speech yesterday was only at 292,000. And that's with every single possible media outlet fawning over him. 6 days ago, he had 559,000 views, but that's for a segment in Spanish. Ready to lead, Joe Biden. 1 week ago, he had 460,000 views. I mean, he averages something. He has 9,000. He has one from a day ago that's 1.6 thousand views. 1.6 thousand. 1.6. He has 130,000 subs. I have more subs than he does. I'm not the current challenger. Okay. Michelle Obama has 19,000 views on it. I mean, 5,000 views for Elizabeth Warren. Nobody could. John Legend couldn't even break 5. He got 5.1 thousand views, and he was performing. He's a world renowned entertainer. So Clinton got 16,000 views, 19,000. I mean, Trump got 20 million views. You got 20 million views. 20 million views on numerous segments about Biden. If they're either tanking this, or Madam Secretary is going to come to the rescue like I predicted since 2017. It will be the biggest political call. I will break the internet. I will break you. I will be the Drago of the internet. That's a Rocky reference, Democrats. Relax. Imbeciles. So, old school dad man, you're talking about a huge dispute. You have 20 million, and we're not even talking about okay, you can look at the live streams and everything. President Trump got something like 6 million people in one rally. Trump rally. Trump team touts 4 million online viewers for one rally. That was it was a Tulsa rally that the entire media tried to disparage. And, oh my God, you're going to lose your life if you go, oh my God, but protesting's okay. It's just one rally, and online he got 4 million views. Okay, and it was just almost an impromptu thing. He changed the date of it, and it's Roman hoax, YouTube views and gun sales spiking a real pulse. Exactly, Roman hoax, exactly. So, Yon Sun Long, hello. So you can't 30 million people, if they barely won the popular vote with 3 million people. I mean, they never take anything into context. They're like, we won the popular vote. Yeah, you had all of media on your side, and you outspent President Trump 2-1. So what do you expect? And the Washington Post did everything possible. We found a tape where he said he was bragging about something. Nobody's ever accused him of it, but he was bragging about something. And by the way, Biden is literally accused of doing exactly what Trump was joking about. But they spent endless time talking about he brags about assault. And literally a woman, Tara Reid, is saying that Biden did exactly that. And you have a Larry King episode where Tara Reid's mother alludes to exactly, you can't go back in time and have somebody call Larry King live. What was it, 1993? Could you imagine if the tables were turned? If Kavanaugh's accuser was on Larry King live or somebody corroborating the story? I mean, they're the ones who made corroboration part of evidence. I don't understand this. The accuser told somebody, and somebody can vouch for when they heard it. It's okay, that's still not evidence. But if you're going there, you actually have a Larry King live segment. But again, they were never serious. They were never ever serious about the value systems or the movements that they claim to uphold. They only utilize this to drum up passion and enthusiasm. They have a bunch of people who are passionate about things they will never allow. People are passionate about Medicare for all. I know, I was on the left. I would love to see Medicare for all if it was feasible. But we have over a $4 trillion budget. 1/4 of it is healthcare, and that's for about 60 to 80 million Americans. How do you go from 320 million Americans, all 320 million Americans, the health care covered by the federal government? How do you fit that within the budget? That's not a question that's rhetorical, like I'm just saying like it's impossible. I'm asking how you do it. You obviously had 4 years, Bernie Sanders and every pundit yelling at the top of their lungs who get $20 million in venture capital funding and then still ask for fundraising. I was like, what are they doing with the $20 million? Way to get money out of politics, the biggest grifters of all time. But whatever, what do I care? If the left dismantles itself piece by piece, I'll just watch and it's fine. When I was on the left, I'd be like, hey, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. Nobody listened. So I was like, what do I care? But Medicare for all, for example, is a very popular policy on the left. They say, well, the polls say this. Yeah, when people find out their taxes go up, then they don't want Medicare for all. You don't have to pay premiums. Not everyone pays the same premiums, genius. Then how do I get health care? So you have to apply for a plan, and you could have always kept the law without the ACA. You could have always had a law saying no pre-existing conditions. It's not like you can't implement that law without the ACA, but that's another. These are topics that are not really related to what I'm trying to say. They have the left is composed of people whose lives revolve only around not being a Republican or not being a Trump supporter. And if they truly believed like Medicare for all saves lives, and join the Green Party, build it, and then leverage your political clout or influence to say, look, you're never going to win another election, Democrats, unless you give us Medicare for all, pass a bill in the House. Why haven't they passed a bill in the House? Why haven't they passed a Green New Deal climate change bill filled with legislation? Because they're not serious about it. Because they know they would lose Pennsylvania tomorrow. They know they would lose the Rust Belt tomorrow. Why don't they double down on making air travel irrelevant? That's what they should do. I mean, they don't stand for anything. It was a resolution. It was a resolution. Fact check, and then they chase their tails when it comes to this stuff, and they constantly debunk what others have tried to debunk, and they're always trying to one up themselves, which at the end of the day is kind of hilarious. Factcheck.org. Green New Deal doesn't call for an end to air travel. Silly Trumpists. You Trumplicans. This is how we're going to win in 2020. Full story. A quick take. A resolution before Congress. A resolution, not legislation, which is another reason they're lying all the time. They don't care about climate change. If they truly believed, and they don't believe the end of the world is, or the beginning of irreversible climate change is 11 years from now or 12 years from now. They don't believe that, because if they believed that, they would put just as much emphasis on climate change as they have on Russian hacking. Simon Hathaway Spurlock. Trump train has millions more riding than in 2016. Exactly, Simon. John Mark, hello. John Mark, hello. Simon, exactly. Full story. So this is them trying to explain that this isn't the biggest grift of all time, that it's actually a resolution meant to inspire people, and people are taking it out of context. Well, if we're heading for a climate change disaster, then why don't you pass the Green New Deal legislation now? But they don't do that. Here, the rollout of Representative Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal last week prompted no shortage of confusion and misleading statements on social media about what the ambitious environmental proposal would do. Don't you love this? It's not an unrealistic, absurd attempt at removing the emphasis on legislation and just then focusing only on ambition in a resolution, which is a public relations stunt. Look what we're trying to do in the future, everyone. Well, I thought the planet was eroding as we speak. How dare you? One popular Facebook post spread the claim that AOC's new Green Deal calls for an end to air travel and to build trains over the oceans, referring to the New York Democrat but the non-binding House resolution. So this is really hilarious, and I hope everybody understands how the fact checking works. The fact checkers are trying to say, okay, well, you're trying to take it too literally, because obviously the Green New Deal resolution is so absurd that, number one, it's just a resolution. In fact, it's a non-binding House resolution. But the non-binding House resolution, so it's not going to be legislation. Calm down. But I thought you wanted it to be legislation. Which one is it? Do you want it to be legislation, or do you not want it to be legislation? Because nobody was inspired by this. Zero. Nobody. Even the people on the left were like, what? But the non-binding House resolution, which recognizes, quote, the duty of the federal government to create a Green New Deal, so they had a resolution acknowledging the duty of the federal government, but they have the House of Representatives, that is the federal government, does not call for ending air travel or building rail lines over any ocean. A companion resolution was also introduced in the Senate. Okay. The language of the Facebook post mirrors the text of a headline on a conservative website, but it doesn't come from the text of the actual resolution. All right. Instead, it might stem from an interpretation of or confusion of documents about the resolution circulated by AOC's office. So they claim that it's going to they claim in one breath, they say, well, gosh, the conservative news outlets got this so wrong. Then they say it might be confusion emanating from AOC's office. Well, it's not the conservative journalist's fault. It's AOC's inability, or her office's inability to explain the absurd resolution to begin with. But here, so instead of an overview of the resolution that was provided to NPR, for example, pledged to begin work immediately on Green New Deal bills to put the nuts and bolts on the plan described in their resolution. What? They haven't done this. They passed one major climate change bill that does not even address any of the major, in 10 years, that doesn't really address any of the major points made in this resolution. They had no intent on passing anyway. The outline includes this about infrastructure and industrial projects. Quote, totally overhaul transportation by massively expanding electric vehicle manufacturing, which, by the way, isn't green and relies on, and I wrote about this in The Federalist, relies on metals like cobalt and lithium, which are very, very dangerous to extract and mine. But let's not talk about indigenous communities that suffer from the mining of these metals, because it's all about public relations on the left. Building charging stations everywhere, build them everywhere. And the 30% of carbon emissions from power and electricity, that will decrease. Build out high-speed rails at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. Okay, so creates affordable public transit available to all with goal to replace every combustion engine vehicle. So they want to build. So AOC's office provided an explanation of the resolution that they were so proud of. Then when people took it literally, which is generally what, like if you're talking about legislation, you don't want people to take it literally, or you do. Obviously, it's so ludicrous that they didn't really want people to take it literally. They kind of did. Who knows? But then when people ask normal questions like, well, when you want to build out high-speed rail to where air travel stops becoming necessary, do you want high-speed rails from New York to L.A. so you don't have to fly from New York to L.A.? And is that even feasible? One high-speed rail? One gigantic... Is that feasible? But she hasn't explained that. So at another point in explaining its 10-year greenhouse gas emission goal, the outline says, we aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast. Okay, a now deleted blog post on AOC's House website included similar language. These are the geniuses we're dealing with here. These are the mental giants we're dealing with. Florida Man Bear, keep it up, friend. Thank you, Florida Man Bear. Hope all is well. Hope all is well, Florida Man Bear. Leo Zabo, Weekend at Bernie's Part 2 in theaters. John Mark, H.A. Goodman for Congress. You're the man. Thank you, John Mark. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Florida Man Bear, thank you. Florida Man Bear, thank you so very, very much. Thank you as always. And so, here you have pure public relations. What they did was the following, and it's pretty easy to do. They said, what's a bucket list? What's all the absurd, irrational, unrealistic demands from the far left or climate change activists when it comes to climate change, and can we just fit them all into one resolution? And then include talking about indigenous peoples, but still talk about electric car vehicles and the batteries. We won't mention the batteries are made with metals that are mined in the Congo and other regions of the world where indigenous people are mistreated and where they face a tremendous environmental disaster because of the mining of these metals. Let's not talk about that. What can we do to sound moral? Because the planet is at stake. What can we do where we can still convey the image of moral superiority while at the same time not lose the election? Because voters are obviously going to say in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Rust Belt states, they're obviously, if they took us seriously, they would never vote for us. So what can we do? How could we find a balancing act? How could we find a balancing act where we pretend that we're cutting edge while at the same time assuring voters that we don't really mean it? That it's just this motivational or ambitious, because it's, ambition is important, even if you have no intention of actually going through with it. And they came up with this compilation of every buzzword you could think of and every policy that they could come up with that would seem cutting edge and exactly what climate change activists want. And then people ask questions like, well, what do you mean by all of this? What do you mean high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary? At another point in explaining its 10-year greenhouse gas emission goal, the outline says, okay, the people can debate the choice of words used in the background material, but the actual resolution introduced does not include any language to suggest an end to air travel or about building trains over the oceans. So yeah, that's true, but why did the supplemental or the additional explanation come from AOC's own office allude to this? The resolution outlines broad goals such as reaching net zero greenhouse gas emissions, millions of good high-wage paying jobs. Well, who doesn't want this? Investing into a guaranteed future generation of clean air and water. Yeah, tell that to Flint, Michigan. Climate and community resilience. So they're the biggest grifters of all time. The biggest grifters. They make millions on millions of dollars, and they transfer hundreds and hundreds of thousands from different PACs for strategic consulting. I mean, they could have hired me. I could have been like, oh, working class, 1%. The biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, I know. Working class, 1%, Medicare for all. What else? Billionaire class, bad. Just find different ways to utilize those statements, and you're fine. Strategic consulting, write me a check. But it's just unbelievable. It's so easy to decipher. Simon Hathaway Spurlock, top-notch commentary as always, closing my eyes but still listening. I live for your total impression. Have a great night and God bless. Oh, Simon Hathaway Spurlock, thank you. I want you to go to bed happy thinking of the turtle. Thank you so very much. And if you ever see me in your dreams, Simon, just remember I'm presiding over the swearing in of the third Supreme Court Justice for Trumpy. Simon, thank you. Woke AF! Hint, Donald Trump, August 19th. Welcome back. Brian Cook and Hillary. Exactly. See you on the field about. Exactly. Woke AF. Exactly. Exactly. Vicissitude, hello. Woke AF, exactly. Thank you very much. Woke AF, exactly. So this is what this fact check. This is a fact check article written in the most Democratic Party friendly way. It starts off by saying, gosh, there's been a lot of misinterpretation here. Then it says it could be because, well, the Congresswoman herself sent out material to explain the legislation the resolution she helped write. Then it's a lot of people have been saying that they want to do away with air travel. They come to this conclusion because of the material that the Congresswoman's own office sent out. Then they say, but really, it's just a non-binding resolution. I mean, they're not really serious about it. And furthermore, the text itself doesn't say that. It says a lot of things like, great economy for everyone, and this legislation makes people happy forever. And they're going to wonder why they lost again. It's like, this is the difference between Democrats and Trump. Trump's like, I want to build a wall. I'm building it now, and we're going to find the money for it, and you're not going to stop us. Hey, you can't do that, man. And he's like, well, we're going to reverse American foreign policy. I'm signing a deal that Democrats would never sign, and, we're ending our involvement in these places. You're going to... yeah, China is not abiding by fair trade practices. We're going to implement in, serious major tariffs. I'm signing prison reform legislation. Okay? I'm also allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than President Obama did. And I'm signing an executive order to reduce prescription drug prices. And I'm signing an executive order to do what Congress can't do and continue, a moratorium on evictions and the checks and everything. You can't do that. So he does what he says he's going to do. Gets us out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He's like, I want to do this, I'm going to do it. And you got to do it. And then they say, is the end of our democracy. Yeah, your version of democracy is doing nothing and destroying countries and saying, well, you tried your best. And having President Obama drink Flint water when it was still poisonous. That's your version of democracy. That's their version of democracy. And then when they're like, well, look what we've done. We have a resolution. It's very motivational. Nobody's motivated. And everyone eviscerated it, tore it apart, to where even the fact checkers were like, hey, it could be them. Oh, I don't know. How do we make it good? How do we make them look good? Oh, my God, please. It was just misinformation from people who misinterpreted what the Congresswoman's own office gave as an explanation of the text. Why would you need an explanation of the text? Why wouldn't you just quote the text? Why wouldn't you quote the text of the bill? Oh, that's right. Or the resolution. That's right, because you had no intention of making it into a bill. It's like telling somebody, oh, you just wait, that vacation. Honey, I know you've been wanting to go to Hawaii, but this is a and you better believe I'm gonna get those tickets and we're gonna fly to Hawaii. Eventually we will. But here's a nice brochure on the beaches and the restaurants, and yeah, it's a brochure. This is a very motivational brochure. Look at it, and on page 90 of the brochure, it says that you get eaten by a great white shark. So, we don't have the money now. I don't want you to say that we shouldn't go because on page 90 you get eaten by a great white shark. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? That wasn't the part of the text. That was a supplemental brochure I gave that said if you were actually, swimming and get lost and then, maybe, might get swept up into a tsunami and then eaten by a great white shark. But that's it. It was actually a supplemental brochure that my office gave to you, honey. But yes, it's probably Fox News' fault. They're the biggest grifters, the biggest lying scam artists. But it's okay because I'm not on the left. They can do their thing. And when they lose again, they will lose because of the Green New Deal resolution, but also because of you cannot have people who want Medicare for all and people who want military interventions with American soldiers being sent off, and then you get the moral relativists. They're like, oh, well, if you send a missile, that's an intervention. No, we're talking about changing. You're talking about deposing leaders and then saying we're helping the people. That's what we're talking about. But you cannot have Max Boot, Bill Kristol, and Bernie Sanders and AOC voting for the same candidate. This is part of the dysfunction on the left. You can't have that because what Bernie will do is we have to slash the military budget. Bernie, can you say bring home American soldiers and get them out of never-ending military conflict? There has to be an orderly withdrawal. But I wrote 100 articles for you in the Huffington Post and the Hill and Salon, over 100, saying that you were infinitely better than Madam Secretary, who will be the 2020 nominee eventually. Taking their sweet time. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Can you say, bring home American soldiers to their husbands and their wives, their sons and their daughters, their families? Can you say that, Bernie? No. You want to know why? Why can't you say this, Bernie? Because the Lincoln Project will get upset with me. And Tom Perez and Debbie Wasserman will get upset with me, so I don't say that. I say slash the military budget. This way, I have all the appeal of the anti-war people without specific recommendations to remove our soldiers from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, which sounds too much like what Putin would want. And I just want to let you know, Putin, if you're listening, you utilized me in 2016. You tried to inform the country that Debbie Wasserman was cheating me. I'm not going to have any part of that, being caught up in a attempt to let everybody know I was cheated, which is really a Russian plot. In fact, I wasn't cheated. It was my fault to begin with. I shouldn't even have run. At the end of the day, they were the one who was I cheated them. You know what happened? They cheated. I cheated them. They didn't cheat me. So they always they live within a paradigm, and I can tell you which pundits, but I'm not going to. So I'm not going to start any beef, but I will definitely finish any beef, but I won't start anything. But I can tell you the pundits that are just edgy enough to have big followings, but not edgy enough to get hit pieces written about them from Raw Story or the Daily Beast or, no-name publications like I was. If you are just edgy enough on the left, not to get on the... If you are just edgy enough to seem like you're opposing the DNC, but not threatening enough to get a hit piece by the Daily Beast, that is so lucrative. That's the $20 million venture capital zone. I can't endorse you. Sorry. You're running for Congress. I can't endorse you. Big Chris! The Green New Deal is as realistic as building a Jurassic Park. Actually, Jurassic Park would be a better goal because Jurassic Park is way cooler. Exactly. Big Chris, I hope all is well. Big Chris, be here November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and every day. It's just Big Chris. Everyone here, Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, they have something up their sleeve. I don't know what it is. First Democratic debate is the 26th. First Democratic debate is the 26th. First Democratic debate. Oh, I'm sorry. First presidential debate. What am I saying? Presidential debate. 29th. Sorry. 29th. 29th. And it's interesting. It's interesting. I just don't see them. I just do not see them. I just do not see them. They can't possibly go with Biden for the they cannot possibly go with Biden for the debates because they would get absolutely slaughtered. Absolutely slaughtered. But let's look here. Let's look here. So you type in Joe Biden right now. This is the Business Insider. They don't understand how ridiculous they sound. Those Biden Senile attacks are now seem like a huge mistake. Business Insider. Like, you are actually saying, you're actually stating exactly what Trump wants you to state within the headline that is trying to defend Biden. It's a huge mistake because he performed a speech. There's a reason President Trump has 20 million people. 20 million people watching his YouTube segments on Biden. So there's a reason. It's not because it's a huge mistake. It's because it's potentially reality. Even Fox News praised Biden's convention. Democrats also run on this false, really hilarious, like they don't know why. They have no clue why President Trump won. They have no clue why anyone votes for Trump. They don't understand the psychology at all. They've created their own world where Trump supporters are these mythical creatures that are just horrible human beings that, follow Trump like, a bunch of lemmings. When in reality, that's who they are. With Clinton and the Democratic National Committee, but Trump supporters don't give a what about Fox News. They don't care about the Republican Party. They're voting for President Trump. It's Democrats who are obsessed with allegiance to their political party, not people voting for Trump. People voting for Trump. The reason Trump won is because he does not adhere to the establishment Republican vantage points. That's why he won. That's why he won. Exactly. They don't get it. They don't understand. They have no clue. They're like, oh, well, Fox News likes Biden's speech. So what? Who cares? Why would that be an issue? Why would that be an issue? It's like, why on earth would that be an issue? So, look, if they went with Biden, they lose miserably. I still call the election. So that'll be 2 straight elections I called. And by the way, the entire media is saying that Trump is just going to lose. Of course, there are people on YouTube who are voting for President Trump who are saying that Trump's going to win. I'm not claiming to be the only person on YouTube saying that, but I'm trying to tell you that it'll be 2 elections in a row. So the most obviously the biggest and most amazing prediction will be when Clinton saves the Democratic Party. So ladies and gentlemen, Emily Cooper! Trump has gained so many supporters since 2016 and probably has lost very few. I agree with you on that. And I think that people who, and I agree with you. People who are voting for President Trump, like there are 63 million people who voted for President Trump last election, and Democrats still can't wrap their minds around. There are 63 million people who voted for President Trump, and if you ask the average Democrat, it was like one person voted for Trump, and somehow Putin elected him president. Like the cognitive dissonance on the left is like so pathetic and frightening. They can't imagine why, and this is why one of the reasons they'll lose again. They'll lose for like a million reasons. That's why they don't care about the pandemic. People voted in person in long lines for the Democratic primaries in 4 states: Arizona, Illinois, Florida, and Wisconsin. They don't care. Biden to journalist on Trump. No president has used those words. Yeah, that's why he's winning. That's why he'll win. No president has ever done this. Yeah, that's why he's going to win. It's like they keep on saying, like, these foreign policy experts have said that Trump is dangerous. Yeah, nobody, the average Trump supporter of all backgrounds doesn't care for business as usual. We don't want to destroy Libya. They don't want Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld foreign policy or Clinton and Biden foreign policy. They don't want this. They do not want this. That's the point. That is the point. That's the point. Natalie! Natalie, thank you. Emily Cooper, I agree. Natalie, thank you as always. Ohio State, go Buckeyes. Natalie, thank you so very, very much. Go Buckeyes. Thank you, Natalie, as always. Very, very kind of you. Very kind of you. Yeah, I mean, I just think that you look, ladies and gentlemen, you look at every day for the past 4 years, it's been Russia stole the election. Russia stole the election from Hillary Clinton. And then you fast forward to Iowa. And then Clinton is linked to. And she's the best candidate they have because she could actually garner enough support and enthusiasm for people to actually care about the election. Where even people on the left see the left in the United States of America is focused on one thing: not being called a Trump supporter and not being called a Republican, or a closeted Republican, or that's their only focus is not helping the Republicans. That's their main focus. If you say I'm going to vote third party, then you've done what Putin wants. Of course, there's no evidence of that, but let's just roll with it. But that's like their lives are predicated on, I'll push just enough. I will push just enough to ensure that nobody can accuse me of being disloyal to the Democratic Party. That's why when you see people on the left going after Assange, they're doing it in the most disingenuous, cowardly way. They're saying, well, he hurt the Democratic Party. Well, yeah, because, he wasn't charged on working with Russian operatives or intelligence people. Nobody was, actually. And number one. Number two, he went after Republicans also, or he published documents that were detrimental to the Bush administration also. But if you publish documents detrimental to Democrats, oh my God, you're an operative. But if it's somebody from the U.S. government saying, oh yeah, well I read Trump's, somebody told me actually that Trump was speaking to Zelensky and he was going after Biden. He was trying to interfere in the election. Then you're not an operative. You're a hero, and that's so. That is, you're blowing the whistle then, but you're not blowing the whistle if it hurts Democrats. They lack basic logic, They live and breathe semantics that they butcher and redefine and mangle and twist and tear up just to fit their bias of the moment. They're very categories and semantics and euphemisms and definitions and labels are very important on the left. But the one thing is, as long as you're as long as you're to the left of the Republican Party, and you don't, and you can say, anything you want about the Democratic Party, but if you actually talk about Clinton's email server, that's why the people who went after me for bringing up Clinton's email servers with top secret intel, which, by the way, I don't, it's fine. Clinton becomes nominee. It's water under the bridge. Who cares? Whatever. Nobody's going to bring it up anyway. You think anyone will bring that up aside from Judicial Watch and me and mainly Judicial Watch? My goodness. They're amazing. But it's like you have Medicare for All people who wouldn't touch the Clinton email server. So notice, you have the $20 million venture capital pundits who yell at the top of their lungs about Medicare for All saving human lives. And instead of actually, because, if Bernie Sanders had servers with classified and top secret intel, Hillary would have said that he was actually working for Russia. They have, the Democratic Party can do anything to the left. The left can only do so much to the Democratic Party. Otherwise, they're seen as disloyal. And the charade and the deception and the scam and the con is we're gonna take them to task, but we won't talk about their Achilles heels. We won't talk about what truly would be threatening to them. Because if we did, we'd sound like H.A. Badman or Judicial Watch or Republicans. And that's why they'll never get Medicare for All or Green New Deal legislation, a real Green New Deal legislation that actually addresses, in addition to it not being feasible or pragmatic, they won't get any of, and then they want universal basic income for 320 million Americans. How do you fit universal basic income and Medicare for All? How is that for 320 million Americans? How do you do it? Because I'm not against the concept of universal basic income. I just don't think it's feasible. How do you do it? Andrew Yang didn't explain how you do it for 320 million Americans alongside Medicare for All. We only have a budget of over $4 trillion. How do you do it? We're the third most populous country in the world after China and India. And so other countries have Medicare for All. Yeah, they have at maximum 40, 50 million people or 60 million people. How do you go ahead every month or every week forever in a country in a country that's being shut down primarily by Democratic governors for the safety of people? I mean, come on. So here, for the pandemic, Democrats want to shut down economies, and then Democrats are talking about universal basic income, and they're going to shut down economies and universal basic income for 320 million Americans, but also not only that, full Medicare for All for 320 million Americans. Okay. So people are going to get paychecks from the government and their health care covered from the government. And there's going to be a Green New Deal where we do away with, internal combustion engines. Okay. Anything else? Okay. They're not even trying anymore. They might as well just say, anything you want, we'll do, just vote for us. It's like, anything you want, we'll do. So now the pundits that got $20 million in venture capital, they now are saying universal basic income. But how is that even possible for 320 million Americans forever? And what does that do to inflation? And we can go on forever. It's like I'm not even against universal basic income for people mired in poverty. But then there are programs also. So, or for, like, I'm not against the concept, but for including Bill Gates. So would it be based on an income level. I mean, it's like, but these are policies that, it's like these are policies that sound really good on the left, that the Democratic Party would never in a million years implement. Not in a million years would they implement this. So, there you go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I respect Styx also. He's awesome. Tim Pool is awesome. Styx, Tim Pool, Jericho Green, Amazing Lucas, Kevin's Corner, HB. There's a lot of great channels. Angela Goodwin. HA and Alaska State primary Republican rhinos are out. We the People spoke. Trumpeters and Dunleavyers took over. Yippee. Exactly. Congrats, Angela Goodwin. Congratulations. Angela Goodwin, thank you. Angela, thank you. There's a New Yorker. In Alaska, Trump doubles down on environmental vandalism. Here's the difference in the way, hold on, the equivalent of 10 Keystone XL pipelines. This is the way the left is just, the media is just so disingenuous. So, this is when President Obama, Financial Post, America has built the equivalent of 10 Keystone XL pipelines since 2010, and nobody said anything. That's because President Obama was president. And Democrats can do anything they want. But when it comes to climate change, they don't get, America has built the equivalent of 10 Keystone XL pipelines since 2010, and nobody said anything. Nobody said anything. Gee, I wonder why. And then it's Trump's Alaska. In Alaska, Trump doubles down on environmental vandalism. And there you go. Apoplectic, hyperbolic, sky is falling with Trump. And Angela, it's just, that's just the way it is. Trump is always seen as like, oh my goodness, look what he's doing now. And the people who voted against Trump, people who voted for Clinton, they're not going to vote for, there's a greater percentage of people who voted for Clinton who will vote for Trump than Trump supporters who will vote for Democrats, Clinton again. There's no way they actually go with Biden because he would lose miserably, miserably. Tomorrow I'll do a segment on Brennan. He was interviewed for 8 hours. He's like, I'm not under investigation. It was a brunch. It was simply a brunch. We had Eggs Benedict. Actually, I had the sunny side up eggs. And a little mimosa. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting how they run the switcheroo. I don't know how they're going to do it. But it's got to happen soon. What can I tell you? At the end of the day, it's funny too because the same people who didn't want to talk about Clinton's email server fiasco on the left because they were too frightened to be called a Republican are the same people who say, oh my God, they won't give us UBI, they won't give us Medicare for all. It's like, they're not going to, Democrats will never give the left anything. The left doesn't understand how politics works. Politics is about leverage, which is what Zelensky said didn't happen. Politics is about leverage. It's about forcing the other side or the political side to abide by your policies. Democrats are not going to give up power willfully. Oh, gee, you know what? Policies that just simply won't pass Congress ever? Sure. Yeah. No. You tell us what. You're young and you're very vocal on Twitter. Yeah. Go ahead. We'll definitely adopt those policies. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if it's a choice between talking about Clinton's email server debacle or Comey covering up the investigation or Trump being set up and framed, if it's a choice acknowledging the systemic corruption that shields Democrats from reality, if it's a choice between that or not having the Medicare for all, the UBI or the Green New Deal, they would much rather not have the policies they claim to want and be seen as, loyal, but, thorns in their side. That's why they spent so much time trying to create groups that are within the Democratic Party. Because this is what Pelosi said. She's like, oh yeah, there are about 4 of them, 4 progressives. So that the establishment mocks them, and they still the whole thing's dysfunctional. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I think we're going on an hour and a half. It's been wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow. Be here every evening. William Holloway. Trump is the Joker bringing down the cabal's money. Gold standard. Tree shells. The rose. Shooting arrows. Wow, my next dog's name is Trigger. William Holloway. William Holloway, thank you. William Holloway, thank you. William Holloway, thank you. Morpheus, please do impression of Biden at the first and only line. Come on, man. Come on, man. Show the nation about you. And I inspire you to be better. Come on, cornflakes. Morpheus, thank you. William Holloway, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, everyone. God bless. To my super chat, thank you, everyone. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. If you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Tell your friends about my live streams in the evening. They're a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Every evening at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Be here. Tell your friends about the live streams. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. God bless. Subscribe to